Hey guys, welcome to Sopi Mix Studio Umbiamas, conectando Aruba com o mundo via vídeo podcasting. Conectar conosco, compartilhar ideias e histórias para nos inspirar e para nos abrir. Sopi Mix Studio é a plataforma de podcast na Aruba. Follow-nos no Facebook, subscribe no YouTube ou na plataforma de podcast preferida. Escute o podcast preferido que hora e onde escutar. Sopi Mix Studio, powered by Qredits. Botiu ideia? Qredits educa e prepara a abo para ser um empresário exitoso. De business plan, guia personal e préstamo para negócio até com 100,000 forinhos. Bira para mês donho com Qredits. Sopway. Passa na Sopway para o sop, salada, wrap ou flatbread e mais fresco. Com 7 localidades rond Aruba. Nós está cerca de Ibo. Sopway. Swingmasterz. Organizando events, conferences of weddings, Mr. de luz, sound, staging, DJ, trussing of LED screen, Swingmasterz está claro para ser boa fiesta éxito. Swingmasterz. E agora, Sopi Mix Studio é plataforma de podcast de Aruba, está apresentar.
And welcome to Tech Impact, another Saturday. Jean-Luc will not be joining us, but we are here today with an exciting group. First off, let's give our thanks to our sponsors, Subway, Eat Fresh, Qredits, and of course Swingmasterz for making this show possible. And we have exciting stuff today. We are honored, and we're going to welcome the Space and Nature Foundation of Aruba. And my name is Bruce. I'm a tech enthusiast, and today we're going to be talking about one of my passions, astrophotography. So let's introduce everybody. And I'm going to, here we go. Welcome, guys. Welcome.
Thank you.
Let's go around the clock. So we'll start at my right, and then we'll go around. So who are you, and what do you do, and why are you here?
Hi, Bruce. So my name is Froelke. I'm currently the president of Space and Nature Aruba Foundation. And so I'm here to talk briefly about astrophotography. So it's a hobby I've been doing for about four or 5 years already. Started from the basics, just buying stuff from PriceSmart.
Oh, really?
Cheap plastic stuffs, and quickly decided to upgrade right away. So
right. And we'll be talking a lot. And I think he's brought an amazing presentation, and we'll be going through it so the listeners can check that out. Yeah. And let's go to our other right.
Yeah. My name is Maduro. I'm the vice president of Space and Nature Aruba Foundation.
Cool.
Professionally, I'm a teacher, so a science teacher, and
super.
That's why, astronomy is one of part of my hobbies and passion that I love teaching about space stuff and nature and physics and chemistry and all those stuff.
Yeah, Superman. I just recently finished astrophysics for people in a hurry, and we'll be getting more into that. You're probably much more knowledgeable. And our last guest.
Yeah, hi. My name is Daryl Evron. I'm the secretary for the Space and Nature Aruba Foundation.
Right.
I actually work in IT.
Super.
And, astronomy and science has been a hobby of mine for a long time. And recently I got serious in it and joined these guys.
Yeah. And it's amazing, really, if you think about it, right? So we've got a teacher, we've got an astrophotographer, and I think everybody here wants to do astrophotography or is doing it in some shape or form, right? And here we have an IT guy, and IT guy, is that okay to say?
Sure.
Yeah, they'd call me an IT guy, and I use Photoshop, so IT is so wide,
exactly.
Right? But
I forgot to mention, Bruce, by trade I'm an engineer, electrical engineer.
Right.
So working at the power plant. So
Yeah.
Just, don't call me an engineer, just It's work. Just
Yeah,
work.
yeah. I'm getting some. I have to push this microphone
Oh,
towards
okay,
you.
sorry.
Yeah, so I guess science is a very important binding element between us four here, and let's talk a little bit about the foundation, right? So maybe I'll ask the vice president, or I think you guys are switching roles every time, right? So
Yeah.
when did it start, and what do you guys want to achieve?
Well, will you talk about it or?
Yeah, probably you can chime in
Yeah.
wherever I'm missing an information. But Space and Nature Aruba Foundation was founded officially on the 21st of June. So it's a special
Okay.
day.
Okay,
So actually this week.
okay,
because, we celebrated the fourth year already. So the first 21st of June is actually, probably you know already, is the summer solstice.
yes, yes.
We picked up that special date to officially found this foundation.
Okay,
And also our logo. So currently we are just having the old logo, but the new logo is basically consists of the Big Dipper and also the Small Dipper, but it's aligned for the summer because Aruba is always summer,
right. Got
That's
it, got it. And there's a special meaning for the Big Dipper for us, and maybe culturally.
Not really. I don't think so. But actually, yeah. For example, the Big Dipper. If you know to find this constellation, you can actually find the North Star as well.
Right,
So
right.
it's basically based on orientation. You can always find the North Star, or actually orient yourself where's the north by
Right.
finding this constellation. So it's actually a real important constellation if you're lost anywhere.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So our sailfaring history is tied to that, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Cool.
So it was founded on the 21st of June, and we consist of 7 members.
Right.
We have been told I'm an engineer. We have an IT guy as well in the foundation. We have a teacher, actually two teachers,
Three teachers you
Three
are.
teachers.
three
Yeah,
teachers.
Cool.
exactly. And also we have one sitting in the corner behind there is also a member. She's actually studied in accounting,
Right.
currently an auditor. So it's a very diverse foundation.
Yeah, also, Lisandro, which is
Exactly.
is
So
an
we have
observer-
Lisandro as
weather
well.
observer.
Yeah.
Observer.
Yeah.
So we have plenty experience in the foundation. The foundation's goal is actually to bring astronomy and anything else astronomy, especially science in general, nature science, earth science, etc., to the general public of Aruba. So
Beautiful.
it's
Yeah.
astronomy has been for many years, on Aruba especially, something like I could say left behind. in a certain
Absolutely.
way,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And so that's the intention. As of 2019, we form part of the International Outreach Commission of the International Astronomical Union. So
Wow.
Yeah,
So
we are basically we have been assigned as the national outreach coordinators for Aruba
Yeah.
by the International Astronomical Union's Office for Astronomy Outreach.
That's like awesome to hear, right? And is that a easy thing to do? Is there an onboarding process from them?
Well, to be honest, we kind of got asked.
Good.
We don't really know if there's really an onboarding or if it's difficult. I imagine there are certain criteria you have to meet.
Right.
But we got sponsored by one astronomer that came here.
Super.
And he kind of introduced us, and he said, maybe these guys are doing something good here.
I was amazed. We did a show. It's just that I'm also like you guys. I have been a student of astrophotography, you could say. I've been I'll show you guys some pictures that I've tried to do with my little Fuji camera. But the dream was always to connect back in my day a film camera to the telescope, right? And then back in those days, there was an adapter, and you had to use film. And I tried to get the tripod to move with the sky. But we're gonna get a great presentation from you guys, I think, very valuable. But let me add this: I also found that why is in our culture not embedded this kind of science really? I mean, when I went to school, we got natuurkunde, right, and adreskunde and maatschappijleer, and I just remember getting a lot of real science about air and how lage drukgebieden and hoge drukgebieden and all that stuff. But there was never really astronomy as and it's part of our universe. It's part of. I mean, we every night we have amazing skies here on this island, right?
Yeah.
And let me give you a compliment on when there was the lunar eclipse. We all logged in on Facebook. And we saw this amazing observatory. Just can we talk a little bit about that? So what was going on there? You guys I saw there was a roof that could retract, and I saw two telescope rigs, one on a I guess a permanent tripod. Yeah. I think it was a Celestron or some kind of Cassegrain, and a reflector. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, it's indeed it's a personal observatory from one of our members.
Right.
He volunteered to since it's a big event on our island, we were also requested by Tel Aruba if we can, joint venture with them to broadcast this event. And Lisandro, which is our members, just provided, open up his observatory to do that. So he has a what they call a roll-off roof observatory. You also have like the usual domes that you can also build. And he, if not mistaken, he has a permanent pier, what they call it, and also on there it has like a equatorial mount.
Okay.
And he has a Newtonian telescope.
Newtonian, yes.
Actually, he has a
Astrograph.
It's an astrograph.
Astrograph.
It's specifically for astrophotometry,
exactly.
and you can actually do actual science with that.
Yeah, exactly. And
wow.
So he has built it's a two-part combination. So he has like the part where the telescope lives and also a control room.
Yeah,
so
I saw that. That was amazing.
All the wiring going through it, it's a whole complete network setup. And the control room is basically it's like a station with different screen and all the software that you'll need to control the telescope.
Yeah.
And on the side, what you saw is like it's not permanent, but it's my telescope. I have actually 3 telescopes, 2 Smith-Cassegrain telescopes.
Yes.
Probably we can touch base on that a little bit later, and also a refractor telescope. That day, I took my Smith-Cassegrain telescope for just to observe the moon as well, but unfortunately, I had some control issues.
Right.
And I couldn't set it up, but Lisandro, though, was the one that was actually pointed on the moon and streaming it in conjunction with Tel Aruba as well.
Yeah, and I saw a lot of international viewers, right? There was a whole international community of locked in, right?
Yeah.
We were surprised about that. And I saw some people from India, Nepal, so I saw some names that I didn't recognize.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I so that it just shows that the interconnectivity and the interest is out there, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And you think it's a good idea so we move a little bit to a presentation so we can build on that? Because I think you brought an amazing presentation about astrophotography. What do you guys think? Let's go through that a little bit.
Sure. It's a quick and dirty presentation put up together.
So it's a brief introduction.
Yeah, it's a brief introduction. It's a steep learning curve, but I try to just put some things together. Just if you wanted to go and start into the hobby of astrophotography,
it's complicated.
It's complicated, and actually you can go many ways.
Yeah. Sure.
You can go many ways, and you can do different stuff. So I think probably we can organize at a later stage another session and
absolutely. I want our mission is the same. So if Tech Impact can be a platform for you guys to if we could do it every month or every quartal, it just depends on the workload for everybody, I think, and interest. I mean, we are here on our Saturdays, spending time on our hobbies. But yeah, absolutely. But Jeff, can you pull off the first one again? Because I think people don't realize that picture you took it.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So this picture is not a stock photo. This is a picture that you took here on Aruba,
Yes.
right? And
This is
using what we're going to talk about now, right? So now let's move forward, Jeff, to the next slide. So patience versus instant gratification. Let's talk about that.
So, yes, in this hobby, patience is key, and patience is very essential. It's not like just taking out your phone and taking a picture.
Right.
But essentially, you will need to put in the time to capture light or the photons.
Yeah.
So in space, what you have is basically anything emitting light in space is emitting photons. So you're basically looking into a window of time.
Yeah.
The light needs to travel many kilometers or light years away to travel to your sensor or eye. So your eye isn't that sensitive. So what we need is basically a digital sensor,
Right.
and sensitive sensor to capture all that light. So you will need to put in the time to do that. So it's basically you will eventually get used to spending multiple nights, cold nights, mosquitoes, all of the good stuff, doing that hobby, and also troubleshooting. You're a tech guy enthusiast, so troubleshooting is essential. You will touch base on anything regarding science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. There's a complete mix. It's a complete combo. You will touch base on. Probably you can elaborate more on that, but
it's definitely STEM. It's a buzzword, and nowadays we've seen it all over Aruba. Everybody's doing STEM learning, but again, it's an umbrella term. So science, technology. What was the E again? And mathematics. Engineering, right? And I like to add the word A for art, because we are doing photography, and I mean, it is art in the end. And I think, I've done enough research now to understand a bit more, but I just lack the experience. And troubleshooting is definitely part of it. I mean, Jeff, why don't you show one of my pictures, just to we just saw an amazing picture of the Orion Nebula, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
So this is a picture I took. I was just at West Point, and I went there because I wanted to get NeoWise, but I missed it. And then I took a little 8-second exposure, and obviously, it's not, it doesn't get a technical prize, but it does have a feeling, like my wife, and it points up, and that's visible to the naked eye, right? And actually, this was 8 seconds on a tripod with wind, and it got a bit blurry, and you could start seeing the trails start happening, right? So a lot of people, that if you don't do this, what you do is you open up your lens, your diaphragma. What's that called in English again?
Diaphragm.
Yeah, the diaphragm, and then you have a bulb setting, and if you would put it for 40 seconds, people would start seeing trails. So I think to get started with astrophotography, all you need is a camera. You could do it with your phone. But now it's about dialing in the knowledge and the tools and putting it all together and coming out with a beautiful picture. So let's put the next slide, Jeff, I think, so Haido can explain. Yeah, I think we're here.
So I try to manage or put in together about 4 levels into astrophotography. So like you said, putting on a camera just on a tripod or a stable surface is where we are all at, basically.
Yeah, anybody can do it.
Anybody can do it. Just put it on a table or a tripod. Essentially, anybody can do that. Even by holding your phone within your hand, you're trying to maintain it stable and take a picture.
Right.
and then you will try to put on a mount, and then just develop it as we go forward, and essentially we will reach on why we are compensating for the rotation of Earth, for example, at the end.
Yeah.
So why we have, if we put a camera on a stable surface, why we will reach to a star trail stars, you know. So that all of those equipment are needed to compensate for basically the rotation of Earth.
Yeah, so if I want to take a picture of really dim things,
Yes.
like even in a room, let's say we're in a room and there's only a little bit of light, what the camera does is compensate. So your phone will actually try to, okay, we're going to have to open up the time so let the light come in.
Amplify
But
it.
yeah, so the astrophotography is the most extreme form of long exposure photography available. And then with good science and good technology, you can get. And I think if I would take a guess on the Orion picture you took, you were tracking the sky, you had tools for that, and you did an exposure of, you did multiple exposures and then stacked it, right?
Yeah.
Yes. So that picture is approximately, if I can recall correctly, between 1.5 hour to 2 hours exposure.
Wow.
So like I started saying, everything in space is emitting photons.
Yes.
It's a light source. So what essentially we are doing is basically opening an eye to capture all of those photons up on the sensor.
Right.
And however, it's based on the technicality, you can do that in multiple ways. If you, for example, there is a rule. For example, if you talk about exposure time rule, there's a rule, for example, a 600 rule, which is the focal length divided by 600, and you will reach eventually, the 600 divided by the focal length, you can reach up to the maximum exposure time you can do without needing a track mount.
Right. Got it.
So that's just a rule of thumb.
Yeah.
But
I think there are a few of those rules.
Yeah,
I heard
depending on the
600,
camera.
depending on the
500,
camera.
depending on the camera, so you
Yeah.
have to multiply either by something or
Mhm.
whatnot.
Like the pictures that we took about the planets, those were just on tripods.
Right. Because you have enough light happening and they're close to the Earth.
Yeah.
And you could do a little bit less of an exposure time
Yes,
and get an
like-
image.
Yes,
Yes.
like I used like 10 millimeters. So it's 600 divided by 10. I can go 1 minute. But I use
Right.
30 seconds.
Mhm.
So you
Gotcha.
can see the planets very bright, sharp, but a little bit. If you zoom in, you can see a little bit of trail, but not much.
I gotcha. So, for example, anybody, if you want to get started with astrophotography, you can start with the moon, technically,
Yes.
and that's considered an astrophoto. But then the planets are a little bit more challenging.
Yes.
But you can get let's call it interesting results depending on what you want to do. I mean, we're not going to print a poster of it and put it in our rooms, right?
Maybe. Well, the thing is,
So everybody here has done it. So
Yeah.
everybody here has tried to take a picture with multiple levels of success,
Yes,
right?
Yeah.
Like I started trying with. I think you still have the picture, isn't it? The mosaic picture.
oh yeah. So
I started with a webcam.
Wow.
Just put a webcam to the telescope and let the moon pass by and take pictures. Picture.
Cool.
Then
Yeah.
stack all the pictures. And that time it was Photoshop 4. So
That's a long time ago.
yes, that was a long time ago. So it was like
that was a lot of work. dude.
yes, it was a lot of work.
Wow.
To stack it on each other, and it was all hand. One by one,
Yeah.
it was something like 250 pictures.
Right. Well, but that's how we used to process. I mean, we still kind of do that. It's just we have more intelligent software.
Yeah, it's more automated now.
Yeah, exactly. So,
What for example, you will need to increase exposure time. Like I
right.
said, you can go up to a minute, depend on the focal length. So, for example, I have 3 telescopes. One is the refractor, which is my main imaging rig. It has a focal length of 550 millimeters.
Right.
So, and also I have a Smith Cassegrain, which is about 2032 millimeters focal length. And also I have a smaller one, which is about 1,000.
So we're talking about an 8-inch
Yeah.
Cassegrain, right?
Yeah.
Celestron maybe or Mead.
a four. One is 8, and the other one is a 4-inch. And so you can start to imagine that if you capture long exposures, within seconds you will start seeing star trails. So
Yeah,
within
gotcha. Because you're magnifying
Yes.
more, so then the result. Yeah, I get that.
So that's a threshold that you want to maintain, below it if you are on a just like a tripod without tracking. So a tracking mount is very essential in astrophotography.
Absolutely.
Very,
Yeah, because we're gonna reach our limits quick,
yes.
right? So but let me give it some context for everybody that's listening. Remember, the name of the game is budget, right? So that's always a problem. And of course, if you I did a little list myself to have a controller and one of those mounts that has the polar alignment in it, and we're already talking about $1,200 just for the head. And well, go ahead and show it. You can just put it in front of the camera and talk about it. Yeah. Yeah. So what is that?
This is a Ioptron tracker.
Okay.
It does not have a go-to system.
Right.
You would need to know your way around the night sky if you're gonna do deep sky with this.
Yeah.
Which is, you can.
Right.
I wouldn't recommend it. This is more for actually, white field. If you're gonna do constellations.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of that. Yeah. I like wide view.
Like right now, you can take pictures of the Milky Way core.
Yes.
This season, so you would need something like this.
And let me take a look at it. So I'm going to put it in front of the camera, everybody. So it looks weird right now, but you need to imagine this gets installed on a sturdy tripod, right? It gets installed. And then we have to do an alignment as well as we can with the North Star. We got to find the North Star, right?
Take this apart.
Oh, here we go. There we
It,
go.
it has what is
It has a
called
polar
a polar scope.
There we
in it.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a polar scope, so we can look through it and then align. Oh, here we go. Yeah, there's
Yes,
there's superimposed
there's
graphs.
rectangle in there,
Right,
yeah.
cool.
and you use that depending on the time.
Right.
You in your location, you should be able to see the North Star in a certain precision in that.
Yeah.
direction there. So
Yeah.
that is what you use to polar align it with.
So and then once it's aligned, then it's
Yeah.
a question of taking your star charts and where you want to target things. So for example, the go-to easiest one is the Orion Nebula in the Orion's belt, right in the middle. We can go for that quick.
Yes.
And if this is aligned well and you use within that alignment, you put your camera connection, and that could be, for example, a DSLR. Then you just set it to an open for what would you do? 30 seconds, right?
Mostly the standard is 30 seconds, but you can use another software to put on the camera.
Yeah.
So we can go longer.
Yeah.
Cool.
Like
Yeah,
30
and
minutes.
we're doing this. Why? Just to give the listeners context, so we track the sky while we're exposing, and we're negating the star trails,
Yes.
right? Because normally it would be fixed. The sky moves by, and then you see all these lines and all, which can be creatively interesting as well, right? I've seen cool pictures of people letting the star trails sort of make the canyon more, so you see a canyon and then you see the star trails, and even going around the North Star. That's kind of cool.
Those are actually more pictures. You take a picture of the foreground,
Right.
and then you use the star trails.
And we have to do a little bit of image editing, right?
Yep.
So Photoshop is our friend. Here we go.
So Bruce, this tracking mode, for example,
Yeah.
has multiple settings. So, for example, the moon, and also what is called the sidereal
Yes.
speed.
Cool.
So for example, when we shoot, obviously we shoot the moon. We set it on the moon because
As a different.
the moon has
It's
a different
yeah.
rotation speed around.
Yeah.
Around
It's a bit
Earth.
faster than the sidereal speed.
Yeah, exactly. And sidereal is anything else that's within deep space.
And that one is number 1.
Yeah. So you can see here the different modes.
Gotcha.
So this is a Ioptron, but for example, you have other Skywatcher, for example, is another.
Yeah, I
brand.
was looking at the Skywatcher. I really like their company.
So it has a different design, but basically the basics remain the same. You know,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
what we do is tracking the sky or the object, and then extending exposure. However, this is very basic. You have mounts that contain databases. You know, it has a key.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what he meant with go to. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So
Exactly.
when we talk about go-to for the listeners, that's actually a system where you can do the polar alignment, but then there's a database of sky objects, and you can probably connect with it with a phone,
Yeah.
and you could actually tell it, hey, I want to check out M31, which is, I don't even know if it's a star cluster, but that's what I kind of remember. Could be one.
Is Andromeda. I
That's
think.
Andromeda, yes.
Okay, well, there you go. Well, that's the Messier catalog, right?
Yeah,
The Messier sky
exactly.
catalog.
Yeah.
But that's really for people that, if we grew up having a hard time finding things, and that's if you want to get,
Yeah.
that's a really cool feature I'll call it the lazy astronomer, you just,
Yeah.
I'm going to check it out. You don't even check out the sky. You don't even know the constellations.
Yeah.
And I think the app even says what's visible tonight.
Yes.
It
Yeah,
gets
yes.
recommendations,
So,
right?
Actually, if you have, like for example, the equatorial mounts with the keypad,
Yeah.
when you have it aligned and you enter the time, the date, and the coordination, longitude, latitude, essentially the mount with its database already knows what's above the horizon. So
That's amazing.
it will never go beyond below the horizon. So actually, if you just search for a catalog, NGC catalog, or a Messier catalog, or a planet, whatever it is,
Just
just about the,
it just goes.
and without needing an app or a cell phone, just automatically goes to the target.
I wanna throw something out there. So I had some friends that would try to debate me about a flat Earth, and yeah, we all have to laugh a little bit.
Let's not get into that, please.
No. But I learned a really cool argument, or tenminste, if you they all do tests, right?
Yeah.
And they do all and I'm saying, listen, you want to do a test? It's very simple. Take a camera, buy a camera, learn how to do a long exposure, do it on Aruba, buy a ticket,
Yes.
go to Argentina,
Yes.
do it again, and see what's going to happen. You're going to see it spins one way this way, and then it spins the other
Yes.
way,
Yeah.
because we turned over the Earth,
Yeah.
and boom, it's over.
But for me also, it was when I went for the first time I went to the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Like Orion comes up on the sky on its side.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's like on the side like this. And when I went to the Netherlands, like Aruba is 12 degrees and the Netherlands 52, and it was standing up. For me, that was mind blowing to see.
Do you remember when?
Yeah.
When Joan came by, we had a visit from. I think she's a teacher, right?
Yeah, she was a teacher also from Canada.
Mm-hmm. And she had never been this far south before.
Right.
And when she saw how the Orion constellation came up, she was like, "No, that's not Orion." Like, yes, it is.
Oh, wow.
And she's like, "Why is it on
the side? Yes.
Why?"
Wow.
Okay, because you're at a different latitude, so
Yeah.
maybe that's why.
Interesting, no? It's interesting. But as you can see, we're observers, right? And by observing with an open mind, things become really clear. So let's put that slide now, since we're already diving really deep into results, astrophotography. Jeff, can we put the one with the telescope gear, maybe, or did you want something else, Jairo?
Oh, we can dive into the telescope.
Let's go straight to the telescope. Yeah. Oh man,
Yeah,
that looks like, that gets me excited.
Yeah,
That's the Sky Watcher. So go ahead.
It's a lot of stuff to see, but what you are essentially seeing here, from left to right, is actually the big and most important thing is the optical tube assembly, what it's called.
Right.
So this is my personal imaging rig. I have a Skywatcher Esprit 100 ED. It's essentially an apochromatic refractor telescope, and all of the what is connected to it. So the main other components is like the camera.
Right.
What you see behind on your far right is actually the dedicated astrophotography camera.
Yeah.
So probably we can talk a little bit about what is a dedicated astrophotography camera. So we all know the DSLR cameras.
Right.
So it's either a Canon or a Nikon, a Sony. So there are two aspects why, in comparison with a dedicated astrophotography camera, that is a DSLR
Advantageous.
camera. Yeah. It's lacking. For example.
Yeah.
A DSLR camera contains infrared
Filters,
filter.
yeah.
So, for example, in the light spectrum in space, we have a lot of infrared. We have a lot of, in the light spectrum, we have different waves. But we have essentially in the space, we have a lot of infrared. So a DSLR is blocking all of those infrared, or in that light spectrum, it's blocking it. And so you could modify your DSLR camera. A professional can do it, or following some instruction, you can do it.
Yeah, I did it sometimes.
Yeah.
You took a risk.
Yeah, I took a risk.
But imagine modifying a 500 or even
it was
$1,000 camera.
No, it was a donation camera, so
Yeah,
that's why I
exactly.
risked it. And yeah,
Gotcha.
it works. It still works.
But
Awesome.
what you can imagine is that you will take apart the camera and
Yeah.
just take out that filter out and assembling it again. So that you could do. But the other thing that is the DSLR camera is lacking is cooling.
Yeah,
no-
I saw that. When I was doing my research, because I have a Fuji camera, right? So I thought, hey, to save some cost,
Yeah.
what would it cost for me to? Because I can remotely work it.
Yeah.
So that means I don't have to touch it, which is another plus when you start doing photography. You don't want to be touching the telescope once you have it all aligned. But yeah, then I went to research, and there's two models from that same company. What's this company called again?
Ioptron.
Ioptron,
but
and
the-
that camera is from the red one,
The ZWO.
the ZW, and that's from CW. That's the company, right?
That's
Yeah.
the company. Yeah.
And they have two models. They have a cheaper one
Yeah.
with no cooling,
Yeah.
and then one with the cooling.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so what does that cooling mean? It means that it will perform more stably when you're stacking, right? So as time goes by, and things start to heat up, it will change
Yeah.
the photons.
Well, the thing
And
is,
That's noise.
So if we are doing essentially long exposure imaging.
Right.
If you take long exposure imaging with a DSLR camera, it will heat up. The
Yes.
sensor will eventually heat up. And have you ever seen, like in a picture, if you took a picture of the sky, the night sky, that you have like red, green, blue pixels in it?
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
that's the influence of a heated sensor of a camera.
There you go.
It's
Oh,
that
I never
noise.
knew that.
Yeah.
That pixels, yeah.
Yeah, but I get that a lot.
Yeah.
And
it
you
could
have-
be
and
dead pixels or just
cool.
noise.
Yeah,
Yes.
cool. And that's essentially what is called noise.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you take picture of the universe, you will have a lot of noise.
Absolutely.
And there is a term which is called the signal to noise ratio.
Signal to noise ratio. Okay.
Anything that contains light, galaxies, nebulae, star clusters, etc., is essentially what is called the signal that
Yeah.
your camera is receiving. So what we want to do is increase the signal and lower the noise. And how you do that is by taking a lot of signals, essentially, or the photons by the object, and you will essentially gather more signal. However, to take out the noise, you will need to cool the camera, otherwise your sensor will be the bottleneck there.
Yeah, because the heat is also
Yeah.
infrared.
Gotcha.
So that's
Exactly.
also some kind of light that the detector will detect. So if your signal is very low and your noise is getting higher, so your signal will get lost into that.
Exactly. And then the software cannot produce or help.
Yeah.
You have less information to give that stacking software to get a good result,
Yes.
kind of thing,
Exactly.
right? So yeah.
What we are doing with the dedicated ASO camera depends on the capacity, but this brand, the ZWO, can cool the camera up to about 34 to 35, below ambient temperature. So the picture you saw before of me taking the Orion Nebula was cooled to approximately -5 degrees C. So
Okay.
Yes.
so that's
Interesting.
I can go below that, but essentially it will take more power from the cooling element. So it has basically behind the sensor you have like what you call the thermoelectric cooler
Okay.
or Peltier, and is basically in power induced into that sensor, and one side cools, one side becomes hotter, and the hot side has a fan, and it works that way. Can be controlled with a controller, PC, etc.
See, and that's another advantage. These cameras have specialized tools that you can manage when you're within that time frame of doing the photo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that's another thing. You have to babysit the process,
Yes,
right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So-
Because you cannot just say, okay, let's just cool it down and let it go. No, you have to monitor your weather and the humidity and all those things.
Yeah.
And another thing, let's go back to basics. When I would go out there with just to stargaze, really, I didn't have the ambition really to take photos just yet, but I remember you have to go there and you have to have red lights. Remember, so that's another thing. We have to still get used to it. If you're out there in the mosquitoes, in the wind is, and we've come to a new phase of consumer products. That actually you can work remotely, right? So, Jeff, can we pull up that? Because what I'm always doing, guys, I'm kind of filtering for people that are not as passionate and well informed as we are. Jeff, can we put the photo again of Jairo's amazing astrophotography rig? Because I want to make a couple of things clear in my research. So this is you called it what's it called? An acrochromatic? What's the word again?
It's an apochromatic refractive telescope.
Okay, so what that means, people, there's very specialized glass in there in certain rows, and that's why it's expensive. You want to jump in there?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so this one is what is called triplet apochromatic. So
there's three,
Three lenses.
stacked on top of each other.
right?
So and also between them there's a specific gas that isolate as well. And correct.
There you go.
So what it does basically is to correct the light, the RGB light that you get, the signal light, and correct it before it reaches to the sensor.
Yeah.
You have a doublet as well, or what they call it, acrochromatic. So that's basically two glasses stacked on top of each other.
So it's
that's specific for a refractor telescope.
Precis. So this. Can you go back, Jeff? Because we have to cover a couple more things. I want to make it really clear, and then we're gonna build up on that. So let me do a quick one myself, and you correct me if I'm wrong as a student, and you guys are my teachers. So here we have a specialized telescope that is designed to give you great results for a little bit more wide field astrophotography. If I can take a guess.
Yeah, it's a 550 millimeter telescope.
Yeah, and I would be interested in having that. So and if you can see a whole assembly, and it connects all the way to a camera in the back. So that red cylinder is a cool specialized CCD imager for that telescope. But here's a CMOS sensor. But there's a couple things I want to go through again. So on the equatorial mounts, so that's one of these mounts that has a polar scope and a go-to system, I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
This one has the go-to system.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so it can work automatic for you. But here's the most interesting thing that I want to add on that's interesting for us from Coder Dojo, because my listeners know about that. There's another scope that's a guide scope that has its own camera to help you be more, tight with following.
Yes.
So you got an equatorial mount that's connected also to that scope. And then I think if I can throw it out there, I see a Raspberry Pi actually, what is a dedicated product. It's kind of the brain. I see like a satellite sticking out from a red box. That's a computer, right?
Exactly.
And it's the brain of the system, and you actually connect with a laptop somewhere else, and you can monitor this pretty complicated piece of technology, right? To take pictures.
Exactly. So the same company, ZWO, developed let's put it this way, a computer-based system. Like you said, it contains basically a Raspberry Pi within it.
Yeah.
And it's a proprietary software that installed in it to basically control everything that you need to do to take astrophotography pictures. So in my rig, I have it. It's basically wireless as well, so I can connect it or integrate it into my my home network.
Right.
And
Wow.
I just align it, polar alignment, check the focus, and then I can go anywhere within my home. I can go see a movie just monitoring it on my cell phone, or I have my station, my computer, and just sit there and monitor everything else. And the interesting thing is that I have, because Aruba has many overpassing clouds,
Yes.
I have included into the rig, I call it the cloud watcher cam.
The CloudWatcher cam. Oh, that's the CloudWatch cam. I see the
Yes.
AstroJav invention.
Yeah.
Super.
So it's basically a CCTV camera, security camera.
I was
from,
wondering what that was. Okay.
And what it does is just look into the sky and see if clouds are coming. And if clouds are coming, I stop or pause the exposure.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, but it's still tracking.
Yeah, it's still tracking.
Yeah.
But that somewhere probably, Bruce, you can help with develop some kind of software. Is that when clouds are coming, it's a manual operating. It's a manual input that I do. Just pause. So I need that signal to automatically pause.
Right.
Or you can develop some kind of script.
Well, not me, but I can pose it as a challenge in a coder club and the community. But yeah, interesting. And I wanted to kind of go around the table. I mean, do you have a rig and do you have a rig? So maybe go on my left here and...
Well, not really. I don't really have a rig as specialized as Hyro. I use my DSLR.
Right.
I do have a few telescopes.
Tell us about them.
I also have a triplet apachromatic telescope.
Cool.
That's actually 480 millimeters one.
Right.
It's a smaller one than the one Hyro has. I use that also for deep sky objects.
Cool.
But to be honest, I haven't been taking pictures.
I know how you feel, man. The last picture I took was Neil-wise.
Yeah.
And did you do? I mean, everybody here tried to take a picture of it, maybe.
Yeah,
Right?
I have a few.
I took a picture of it, but it's a lucky shot because again the clouds.
Yeah, those days were not nice.
Yeah.
No.
No.
And how about you?
Yeah. I neither have that sophisticated as him, but I also have an Ioptron that I use with my DSLR.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I have a 12-inch Dobson.
Okay.
Yeah. And,
That's pretty serious.
Yeah, and the idea behind this was to make an observatory out of it.
Of course.
Yeah, but when you get married and you get children.
Yeah, I know all about it.
I think he has the largest telescope on Aruba. I think.
Yeah, probably.
Let
me
12 and a half.
Yeah,
So let me filter it a bit for those that don't know. So a Dobsonian is a reflector scope, right? So it's basically using mirrors, a parabolic mirror, and 12.5 inches diameter. So what are we talking about?
This.
Yeah. And what's cool, I think I had one myself. I had one of those Orion, the cheap ones that comes with the box that can turn, and horrible to work with a laser scope. It was.
What do you mean horrible with?
Yeah,
I have a 10-inch one.
Well, I'm much more interested in go-to systems now. I mean, it was fun because I thought I was inexperienced. I thought power is everything, right? So with the larger diameter and the right eyepiece, I thought let's go deep into the sky, and then in true experience, the deep sky and the wind just touches it a bit, and and you could see the image in your eye. It's not that fun.
The thing is, you use Dobsonians just mostly for observational. You don't use those to take pictures. You can.
Yeah, you can.
Especially like planets, you can just like set it up and in the path with your camera ready, and then it goes, like in the field of view. You
Right,
capture that,
right.
and then you realign again, and
Then you make
that.
films. You don't
Yeah.
you don't use
Yeah.
pictures. You use films.
Okay, gotcha.
Usually when we go to outreach, we do private stargazing outreaches and sometimes even sidewalk astronomy events. So we usually have a Smith Cassegrain
Yeah.
and also a Dobsonian.
Yeah.
So that combination can be perfect depending on the weather, because the Dobsonian is faster. You can see faint objects.
Right.
More
More in detail. Yeah.
more in detail. And the Smith Cassegrain, because it has a bigger focal length, you can see the planets more in detail.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
So
has a lot of power in a
Yeah.
compact shape, right?
Yep.
Exactly.
And what I have to say, what I do love about refractors and Cassegrains is that they're closed. Because when I started using my Dobsonian, I was such an amateur. It gets dirty because I would go at West Point, right? So I lived at West Point. I lived at Arashi, and I would use it. And then I started noticing that, hey, there's dirt coming into the scope. And guess what I did? I took it out.
No,
And I took a cloth and I tried to
no.
clean it. Yeah.
Okay, see,
You see?
Okay,
Amateur hour.
let's get this out there.
Yeah.
If you have a reflector, just because the mirror has a bit of dust on it,
It's not the end of the world.
no,
Yeah.
because you still get good images.
Gotcha.
If you're looking through the telescope.
You're right.
If you do want to clean it, you have to submerge you have to take out the mirror,
Right.
and submerge it in water.
Gotcha.
Let it sit for a while, and then you use cotton swabs and gently push it along.
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
you don't-
I did one
you don't
wipe
scratch.
and there was this special coating and I ruined it.
Ooh.
And look, when you put it back, you still see stuff, but you
Yeah.
know inside that you really messed up a very expensive technological marvel, right?
Yeah.
But what I do think is important is that if you go through the journey, start with stargazing, you're gonna learn a lot. You're gonna learn about stars. You're gonna learn about charts. You're gonna become more aware of the sky. And then if you start trying to look for things from a Messier catalog, I mean, we can use our DSLRs. That's what I tell people. If you've got an 85 millimeter, hey, you basically got a scope,
Yes.
Yep.
and you can get started. And I think a journey all the way to Hyros rig, for example, is a journey of knowledge, because every time you're gonna step it up, maybe get a good telescope mount. And by the way, there's two types, right? So if you look at Meade and what are they called?
Celestron.
Celestron,
Yeah.
they have one of those pitchfork,
Oh yes.
the fork
Yes.
designs,
Mm-hmm.
and they have go-to systems, but they're horrible at tracking. So it's a good stargazing product, I think. For hey, let's look at this, and then boop, it goes. But to do real serious astrophotography like what
Yeah.
you're doing, it's not really that friendly.
Yeah. Mostly for astrophotography, the equatorial mode is very common.
Yeah,
But for example, just outreaches and even planetary, you can even use like the azimuth mount or, for example, the fork mount. and
Right.
stuff. But if you talk to any astrophotography, you will eventually reach that you will need equatorial mount.
yeah. I think that's the golden rule. It just
Yeah.
goes well with the sky. It just shapes well. But let's bring it back to the general public. If I saw a telescope, one of those $80 deals on Amazon that you can put your phone on.
Don't
Wha-
buy it.
There we go.
Oh, you're gonna waste your
Skip.
money.
Okay,
You're gonna
okay.
be frustrated. It's not gonna be what you're expecting. So
Right.
if you're getting into the hobby, and you got to be honest with yourself, what you're gonna do, and what to expect.
Exactly. So let's because I think we can go for 2 hours. I think,
Yeah.
but
Yeah,
we've
yeah,
reached an hour. So let's it's already
Already?
yeah already. So before we even finish, let's do another one if you guys are willing.
Yeah, sure.
I would love to do that. I would love to do it more often, and I also want you guys to kind of like invite people in the next outreach event, and if they want to learn. But why don't you give some advice on maybe they, instead of buying it, maybe to come to one of your events
Yes.
and learn more about it and then experience it firsthand, right?
Yes. The thing is, if you're getting into the hobby and you want to spend some money, better, like look up for an astronomy club or like our foundation, when we eventually do a public stargazing event,
Yes,
come
yes.
by, look at the telescope, ask your questions. We will be gladly to answer any questions you might have if we have the time, because mostly those events are very well.
Well,
facilitated.
yeah.
And also, even if you have if you have already bought a telescope
Right.
and you don't know how to set it up, we can help you with that as well.
Yes.
Just organize a private meeting.
Yes.
Go through it and what you have. We can advise you as well.
Right. Yeah. So I told those horror stories because treat it with care. Treat it with care, and I would say stargazing is one thing, and astrophotography is it's built upon. But I think the interest for me is, I want to share what I'm looking at with people, right? I want to share that with people. And it's when we're stargazing with my kids, for example, now it's about the eyepieces and telling them and teaching them something, right? So, for example, the refractors and what's your favorite eyepiece? If I would go around the table, because my favorite was this expensive 35 millimeter with lots of. It gave me beautiful views, good color rendition, and all this language.
Well,
so, do you guys have favorites?
Yeah, well, for me, I have only one eyepiece because I do astro imaging. But
okay.
for
So
all
you don't gaze. You gaze through your pictures.
Yeah, exactly. So I have a 25 millimeter, just the ones that came with one of my telescope.
Yeah.
That I usually use for outreach events. So
Cool.
yeah.
Yeah, I have. I think the 35 millimeter also.
Yeah.
The wide as possible to gather more light as possible.
That's where I was at. I gave up on deep sky, just enjoying the constellations, maybe some clusters, right?
Mm-hmm.
No, but most of the time I use wide angle lens.
Right.
It's just my 10 millimeter on the camera DSLR, and on my track, I love to do that, the wide fields.
And what does that cost? If somebody wants to start doing this, what do you guys think is a good starting point to just get a bit more serious with?
It depends on what you want to do.
Right, so just gaze.
Yeah, if you just want to gaze, you can start with a binocular.
Yeah. You're right.
Yes.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. You can start with binoculars. Yeah.
Start with the binoculars. Work your way around with maps, star maps, or with the phone.
Yeah.
You can. Yeah, the phone is. Much
I
easier.
have one of those apps. It's really amazing.
Yes, and then from that you can like, how did I got started with a story about the moon at school.
Cool.
I went to the library, look up some books, and I want to see the moon. Where's the moon? I don't see it.
Right, exactly.
So went to the library. Why don't I see the moon? So then you learn about the cycles and all those things. And I started with a 500 millimeter telelens.
Right, yeah.
Just a
there
camera.
You go.
Put it on a camera, look at it. And
Take a picture.
Yeah, it was film at the time, so I didn't take the pictures.
Right,
so just to look through the camera.
Yeah, one of those Canon A1s, right?
Yes,
because it does.
Yeah.
It will go straight. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so that's how I started, and then I in the main street there was a picture place, Fotokina.
Fotokina, okay.
Yes, they had a telescope there.
Wow.
And I went to do a summer job, so I bought the telescope.
Look at you, yeah, interesting.
That's how I started the whole thing. Yeah.
Wow.
So it all depends on what you want to do. Some people like planets, some like higher likes deep sky.
Yeah.
And I like a whole wide field.
Right.
Nightscapes.
Yeah.
Nightscapes.
Your favorite? What's your favorite stargazing activity? Let's put it that way.
Well, actually, I mostly do visual.
Visual.
So, I would say go for a Dobsonian.
Dobsonian. Yeah, I was going to say that. So
More bang for your buck.
Bang for your buck is definitely, that's why they were invented. They come in carton tubes sometimes. Works fine.
Yeah.
Gotta just have care. I've actually seen a Raspberry Pi project where someone used he programmed his own software that when he's moving the Dobsonian, it's actually coordinated with the sky map.
Oh yeah.
Right, so he made his own, not go-to, but he can actually
Those are push to.
push to. Okay, there you go. But he programmed them himself, and he used some kind of from the general purpose input output, and he created. And I thought, okay, I want to do that. But then I went to see his programming. It was serious. I mean, the guy was doing
Yeah, that's some serious math that you do.
some
have to do.
serious math. Yeah, some NASA stuff, right? So, so what do you guys think the future holds to finish off? Where do you guys want to take the Space and Nature Foundation in the next, let's say, next 12 months? What do you guys? What's up for Aruba from you guys next?
Well, I do think for the next months or years, what we essentially want to do is expand the events that we are currently doing, you know, and also work on the plans that we have by, I think Aruba needs a observatory.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Some people say that, we have clouds, but the location is ideal for doing any research, which is, for example,
Interesting.
we have been contacted by some observatory, research level observatories,
Right.
in Brazil and also France, for example, to help within research. The last one that we did is to help by capturing when, for example, Jupiter is occulting one of its moons. So
Okay.
that's a 3-year research that an observatory astronomer, a group of astronomers has been doing. So we helped with that, gathering that data and sent
Yeah,
them
wow,
to them.
that is amazing.
And for example, the exoplanets, Aruba.
Yeah.
Aruba has 2 official names that is currently forming part of research papers.
Wow.
That's the International Astronomical Union did an event based on their 100-year anniversary.
Yeah.
So we have been contacted to support with that event, that exoplanet with its host can receive an official name of Aruba, and that's the Boca Prince and
Amazing.
and Marmok. Yeah.
So for the next show, let's bring the star map and show people where they are, right? And we can observe them with telescopes.
Well, you can see the star.
Yeah, and we can, and then we're gonna get into astronomy, the cosmos, cosmology, and maybe even a little bit of astrophysics, because using astrophysics they figure out what a planet was, right?
Yep.
And I do believe that it's an amazing educational. It must be basis canis, right?
Yeah.
Don't you? I mean, I'm sure that's what you guys stand for as well.
Yeah. So what we want to do is do stargazing events, but also do courses, lectures, and so forth. And if you visit our Facebook page, you will eventually get all the updates. We have also some guides that we give out when we do lectures.
Yeah.
And also, usually, occasionally we do also the sidewalk astronomy. So that's a ad hoc event, spontaneous.
It's like pop up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pop up with a telescope, and
We actually did a few of those before COVID hit. So
Yeah.
I know we are all tired of hearing it, but COVID kind of put a damp on those
Oh no,
things.
we can talk the truth. We care about the truth.
But now we're looking to like maybe start doing that again. So if you're following our page, eventually we will just post, hey, we're gonna be at this location for the next 2 hours with our telescope, so you can come and see the moon at half phase, or if the planets are out, we're gonna show you the planets. So.
Yeah, I think I cannot wait, man. And I'm pretty sure. I mean, when I took one picture once, one of those pictures on Instagram, I got a bunch of friends of mine. Hey, man, next time you go somewhere and to take a picture of something, we want to join. So I think there's a lot of interest out there.
Yes, there is.
And I think it's also a culture of we're on an island anyway. Let's use just like the beaches. We have amazing beaches, but we have amazing skies, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And exactly, Bruce. And just to finish that off, we want to work on the idea of astrotourism. There is a specific group of tourists that just want to travel and see the beautiful
I
night sky.
get you. Yes, yes.
And we, in fact, I'm a delegate for the International Dark Sky Association.
Okay.
So they have the goal to state what is the light pollution.
Right.
Is the impact of light pollution on everything living, either is humans, creatures, and the flora and fauna.
Agreed.
Basically.
Agreed. Yeah.
So that's something that we want to advocate for.
Absolutely.
And not only because we take beautiful pictures of the night sky, but the impact it has on the nature and everything living. So my foundation, we were kind of helping out a building, and we were made aware of a system, a rating system that actually includes that in your design. Like you have to design your light to more inside and dimmed and down, and less impact on flora and fauna and light pollution. So I think we're getting there. The awareness is happening. It's just that we have to change culture. And I want to thank you guys for coming here, because I think it is the future, and it's exciting, and it's a low-hanging fruit, really. I mean, astronomy is free.
Yes.
The sky is free. And it's up to us that, let's just make it accessible, right? So I'll finish with, let me do the sponsors for 1 second. And I want to give you guys like a closing statement maybe from your foundation, or what you want to say. So thank you, Sopi Mix Studios, Tech Impact, my fault. I'm so excited. Subway, Qredits, and Swingmasterz. So I'll go now to my left, and we'll finish off with what you guys have to say.
Oh, well, I don't really have anything to say. I mean, we could talk for hours on end.
Yeah. I've noticed.
Yeah.
But let's leave it at we'll be looking forward to the next sidewalk. What's it called? Sidewalk
Astronomy.
Sidewalk Astronomy.
Or if you want, you can make a group and
Get in touch with you guys.
get in touch, and we can go and get an explanation and bring a telescope, and we can explain some stuff.
Awesome. And don't worry, I'm gonna come with Coder Dojo. We'll talk later and make something happen. And
Bruce, I want to finish off by thanking you for the invitation.
no problem.
And I think we can organize many events in the future.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Talk in depth on a specific topic, or just touch base basically on anything related to science and astronomy.
Well, consider Tech Impact always available every month. You guys want to come? Let's do it, because I want to be a student now, and you're going to help us out set up a Raspberry Pi brain for our little telescope.
Yeah.
And thank you guys for coming. And Jeff, we're going to sign off.
Hey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.